Welcome everybody to the channel. This is Sounds Nerdy. I am Jamocha, and this is the show, The Blip, where I cover news, highlights, events from the world of tech. In today's news, I will be covering the Oppo N2 Fold. Apple apparently will be allowing side loading of apps onto their phones, and the Samsung S23 leaks. But before we get into all that, if you are new to this channel, first, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. But if you are new, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, hit that like button, okay? Now, before we get into the news, this is a little bit about Sounds Nerdy. If you go over to soundsnerdy.com, all the articles I will be covering will be featured on my website, where I aggregate and curate tech news from around the web and bring it to you in one easy location at soundsnerdy.com. So after this video, not right now, go over to soundsnerdy.com and read all of the tech news, okay? All right, let's get into this. Up first, let's get into the Oppo Find N2. Here's an article. The Find N2 Flip launch, Oppo's Galaxy Z Fold and Z Flip 4 rivals. All right, this is an article out of AndroidAuthority.com. First off, the Oppo Find N instantly attracted attention when it was reviewed earlier this year, showing a more compact take on the Galaxy Fold style form factor. Now, Oppo has returned with a sequel while teasing a brand new foldable as well. All right, let's get into some of the specs about it. The Oppo Find N2 is the follow-up to the Find N, as you would expect, bringing a number of design-related improvements for starters. They said the weight is 43 grams less than the original Find N, which is actually slightly lighter than the iPhone 14 Pro Max. So we're talking about a foldable here that is lighter than the normal actual phone. We're talking about a foldable here that's actually lighter than the iPhone. So that is big props to them. The firm also claimed that the Find N2 is also 1.3 millimeters thinner than the original device. Okay, let's get into some of the specs here for you real quick. So as we know, we have the displays. On the exterior display here, we have a 5.54-inch AMOLED screen. This will now be featured at 120 hertz. And before, I think the previous model was 60 hertz, so they upped that to 120 hertz, which is going to give you an actually silky, buttery smooth experience on the exterior. 2120 by 1080 resolution, and of course it has Gorilla Glass Victus. On the interior display, you have, when it opens up, you have a 7.1-inch AMOLED screen, 120 hertz refresh rate, LTPO, and 1920 by 1792 resolution. This will feature the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, not the Gen 2. A little disappointed there, but we know that the Gen 1 is still a very powerful processor chip. 12 and 16 gigabyte RAM variants. You get 256 or 512 gigabytes of RAM. UFS 3.1 storage. Does not have expandable storage, which is kind of hard to find nowadays on your premium phones. As far as the battery, it features a 4520 milliamp battery, 67 watts wired charging. It does not have wireless charging. That is a big bummer. We know most devices nowadays, obviously the Samsung foldables have wireless charging. For them not to include that, that's a bit of a bummer. But the wired charging is expected to give you about 42 minutes. It takes about 42 minutes to actually fully charge to 100%. So that is a big deal as well. As far as the camera setup, you have a 50 megapixel wide camera, and you have a 48 megapixel ultra wide camera, and then a 32 megapixel 2x telephoto camera lens. All right. And on the front, you have a 32 megapixel camera. And then on the internal front is also a 32 megapixel camera. Both the external front and the internal front features the same camera. All right. Just some other random stuff here. It will have Android 13 running. It will be Color OS 13 running on top of Android 13. We already talked about a little bit about the dimensions. 233 grams will be the black model. The 237 grams the green and white model. It's kind of weird, you know, how the color, I guess the color for the green and white is heavier than just the all black model. Probably because you have to spray it on. Probably the original is probably just black. That would be my assumption. So I guess the colors variations you have will be black, green, and white. All right, so Unfortunately, right now the Find N2 and the Flip N2 are not coming stateside. They won't be releasing global right now. It's just in China. Hopefully, Oppo will change their mind on that. I'm also hoping that they will have this at CES. I can't wait to get my hands on that. I will be looking forward to that at CES. Yes, I will be at CES covering that. I'll get into that in another video. But yeah, that's pretty much everything about the Oppo Find N2. Let me know what you think about the Find N2. Do you think they can actually knock off Samsung in the foldable market? And if not, hopefully they can push Samsung to be a little bit more creative and to do a little bit more of making it fold, the actual crease in there a little bit less. Because the Find N2 actually has a better looking fold from another article here. You can see here that it's supposed to be a little bit less invasive than the Galaxy Z Fold. So, but again, we'll see what happens with that. All right, let's move on to our next story here. Apple will reportedly allow side loading of apps with iOS 17. Now, this is a major retraction for what Apple has been in their past and in their history. Apple has been about having a closed ecosystem. They want everybody to, from Apple's perspective, they think it's a security issue. It's also Apple has a obviously a monopoly when it comes to the apps. So you only can get apps on Apple from the App Store. So with them allowing third party app stores maybe, or allowing you to load apps onto your device, that's pretty significant. Okay, let's get a little bit into this article. After vehemently fighting sideloading alternative app stores on iPhone, Apple is now apparently looking to allow them with the iOS 17, which will come out next year, to comply with European laws. All right. Bloomberg report states that Apple's sideloading project has already started under the company's engineering VP Andreas Winker, who reports to Craig Federighi, Apple's senior VP of software engineering. The project also reportedly involves senior executives such as Jeff Robin and Eddie Q. Well, obviously, this also goes all the way up to the top to Tim Cook. There is no way this decision is not made without Tim Cook's input. And I guess he finally was, more than likely, was feeling pressure from maybe internal executives saying that this is probably something that we should do. So he finally made the push. But I'm going to get into another reason why I believe Apple is doing this a little bit later. So the article gets into, is this a win for developers? If Apple opens up to other app stores, developers won't have to pay a 30% or in some cases 15% fee to the tech giant for in-app purchases. So yes, for developers, you can get to keep more of your money and get to see more of your profits. So that is a really good thing for developers. This could appease a lot of companies, including Spotify, Tinder, Match Group, and lately Twitter, who have criticized Apple's fee structure. All right, so I'm not going to read the rest of this article again. You can check out this article here on my website. I also have the links to it down in the description below. But I'm going to give you another alternative reason why I think Apple is actually doing this. All right, so if you remember, obviously this all revolves around Elon Musk. So about a year or two ago, there were rumors about Tesla, or not Tesla, Elon Musk making a cell phone. And there were just rumors. Here's an article from the Dedicated Engineer. This was back in December 21st of last year, so about a year ago. So, and there was other articles that I seen about, Tesla phone is the new hot. Is this Elon Musk phone a rumor? Is the Elon Musk phone rumor? Sorry. Tesla phone rumors. Here's some of the stuff that they were talking about: satellite internet connectivity, solar fast charging, Neuralink connectivity, cryptocurrency, mining ability, Tesla phone case. You're not familiar with Neuralink? Neuralink is a project by Elon Musk that will allow you to insert a chip into your head. Not something I'll be getting into, but that's another story for another day. Yeah, so that was that about a year or two ago. And then let's take a step back about a month or two ago. Elon Musk will make an iPhone rival if Twitter is ejected from the App Store. So remember, Elon Musk and Apple were going added back and forth for a little bit about a month ago over Twitter about, you know, a couple things, the app fee structure. And since Elon Musk took over Twitter, he's been opening it up to more free speech. And obviously, Apple has been sort of opposed to that because they apps that apps that allow speech like this, as far as social media applications, Apple has very restrictive policies about what type of speech that they want to allow for those apps. And so obviously Elon Musk criticized Apple about that. And Apple obviously was not too thrilled with how Twitter has been opened up for more of a free speech platform under Elon Musk's reign so far. So yeah, so that was about a month ago. So here's Elon Musk in a tweet here. I certainly hope it does not come to that, but yes, if there is no other choice, I will make an alternative phone. So this is Elon Musk specifically saying this on November 5th, 2022. So a couple of weeks ago. Now let's go back to here. I just did a quick search on my website here. Elon Musk and Tim Cook actually had a meeting to try to mitigate or resolve some of the friction or issues that they were having. Elon Musk, if you remember, he actually went to go tour the Apple facility. And then after that, Elon Musk says that Twitter not at risk of removal from the iPhone App Store following the meeting with Tim Cook. So, yeah, and my last point about all of this is, yeah, so they had the meeting. They seem to have squashed everything with that. But the reason why I believe Apple is allowing third party will maybe allow sideloading apps is, I believe Apple has somebody sniffing around, probably at Twitter, not likely at Tesla or SpaceX, that caught wind of Elon Musk is probably already in the works of developing a smartphone alternative, and obviously with another, you know, an app store alternative to Apple and Google's monopoly. So that's why I believe, because I think Apple sees that, senses that, got wind of that, was like, okay, in order to keep our devices or keep our ecosystem more available, let's open this up. Let's change some of our restricted policies. Let's allow this. Because if that is the case, if Apple does that, that will kind of put a damper on what Elon Musk is trying to do with his smartphone. Because the reason why Elon Musk was going to do his smartphone is because of the restrictive policies of Apple. So if Apple changes course, that kind of puts a little bit of a damper on what Elon Musk is trying to do. So that's why I do believe that Apple ultimately has, or is considering, opening up that, you know, sideloading of apps. So I don't know. We will see what comes of this. I think it's still a good thing for Apple to do that. I think it's good for developers, as I read earlier. They get a bigger profit. They don't have to pay that 30% or 15% fee. So that would be good for developers. I don't know. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Do you think this is a good idea for Apple? Are you excited for Apple to do this? I myself, I am an Android user, so I've been sideloading apps that I couldn't find in the App Store for years. So I love the idea. So let me know what you think about that down in the comment section below. All right, and my last story here I want to get into, Samsung S23 leaks. So we are just probably about a month or two away from the S23 being launched at Samsung's Galaxy Unpacked event, which will more than likely take place in the end of January, as it has been in previous years. So this is an article from Android Authority again. Images of the S23 and S23 Plus dummy units have appeared online. You can see here in some of the pictures, the S23 and the S23 Plus seem to look very familiar to the previous models. But we can see that the Galaxy S23 and the S23 Plus may have slightly different designs compared to their counterparts from the S22 line. It seems like both phones may end up with a less curvy frame than the S22 family, opting for a more angular body with rounded corners, as you can see here in the pictures here. So again, you know, very much more rounded design here. Looks pretty good to me. Obviously, this is the back of the S23 and probably the S23 Plus. This picture here shows which looks like to be the S23 Ultra here. Right. Another notable difference is the layout of the camera sensors, where the S22's rear cameras were housed together within a casing. These images show that the S23 with cameras that protrude from the back individually. As you can see here, yep, it's one individual as opposed to housing as they had in the past. This appears to sync up with the leaked renders we reported on earlier. Similar to last year's model, it looks like the Samsung could once again choose to have the Plus variant look identical to the base phone. Based on the images, the only visual notable difference is the size of the S23 Plus. You can see here, there's probably the regular, this 23 Plus, and this one is the Ultra. Over here, you can see the pen. It looks pretty similar to what we've seen from the previous years and obviously the previous Note devices as well. Unlike the Galaxy S23 and the S23 Pro, it appears the S23 Ultra may end up retaining the same form factor as the S23 Ultra. As a result, it looks distinctively different from its siblings. Keep in mind, this is not official from Samsung. They're just leaks from an unspecified source. All right, so that is the leaks that we've seen from the S23. Again, January, late January, we will more likely have the unpacked event, and the phones will probably be released in early February. So I'm looking forward to that lineup there to see what Samsung has up their sleeves. I want to know what they're going to do with the software side of things with the S23 models, and obviously their cameras are top notch. I'm looking forward to seeing what. I'm hearing that it's supposed to actually have 200 megapixel camera in there as well. So I'm looking forward to that. So we know Samsung's cameras are awesome. So that'll be interesting to see. All right, let me know what you think about the S23 leaks. Do you like the design here? Do you think they need to do something different with design? Also, are you looking forward to the S23 models being shown in late January? All right, and that is all the news I'm going to cover for you today. Once again, I want to thank you for taking the time out to watch this video. Again, if you're new to this channel, I want to thank you for taking the time out. Again, all the stories that I cover are covered on my website at soundsnerdy.com. If you go over there, you will see I have all the latest news from around the world of tech, aggregated and curated right here. I handpicked these stories to bring to you. Head over to my tech news section, and I have different sections for Apple, Samsung, Google, computing, and just more general tech news. So if you want tech news, I advise you to head over to that website. You'll have to go to 10 or 20 different websites to get your tech news for you. So again, thank you once again for taking time out to watch this video. Hit me up on Twitter at SNJamoka, or follow Sounds Nerdy on Twitter at Sounds_Nerdy. There are different conversations that I have there that don't get into video form. And until the next video, guys, stay nerdy.